Good luck sleeping tonight with this villain I'm about to put on your radar. You will be trying to snooze with one eye open and one eye on your phone, looking for any Ring doorbell alerts. Because there's a menace on the loose, there's a maniac afoot, and SpongeBob isn't here to catch him yet. We're talking about the Porch Pooper. An elusive, nefarious scoundrel that's leaving undesired presents on the front door of one man in particular at the moment. But this could be just the beginning of a crime spree.
You probably heard of porch pirates, but what about porch poopers? Don't know any other way to say it.
I can think of like 100 other ways to say it. Why didn't you just ask me? But I will say, porch pooper I think is very solid. That's a great alliteration that just flows off the tongue. But I've got some cool names for this cryptid, feel free to use them. The Patio Shadio, Spready Fazbear, Poop Shitman. I'm partial to Poop Shitman myself. It sounds like the name of a Kojima character, like Die Hard Man.
Right now, LMPD is looking for a man who has been using the bathroom on Louisville homeowner's porch all week long. Ward Jollish tracked down the homeowner and spoke with him about being targeted by a porch pooper.
That's the last kind of person you want to be targeted by. That's like being hunted down by Jason Bourne right there. A porch pooper has set his sights on this one homeowner in particular for no reason that they can figure out yet. It seems like random act of shit.
Listen, a warning. While we won't show you everything, okay? We won't show you everything. Some may be grossed out by this video.
When I first watched this, I actually thought this was about to be some kind of like sly plug for their Patreon or something, or like exclusive membership content on their YouTube channel. Look, we're not going to show you everything here, but sub to the Patreon or join on YouTube and you get the full ass blasto experience here, poop and all. More butt cheek and more feces than you can handle. Enjoy to your heart's content. But it's just her letting viewers know, like, hey, there's a dude fucking squatty pottying on this guy's front door, and even though we censored it, it's still kind of yucky.
It all started with this. Sunday night, a young man in a red shirt walks up to one Louisville home well after midnight and begins peering inside. The homeowners have no clue. After a few seconds, the man runs away in his socks and disappears into the night. But the next night, he returns and leaves a horrific surprise.
There's a lot to unpack here. If you ask me, it doesn't seem like he's in his right mind. He's got to be under the influence of something, it looks like. Because he's approaching the door and he starts doing this with his hands like he's fucking putting binoculars on to see inside of it, about to use X-ray vision or something. I know it's an effective strategy when you actually get to the door so you can see in a little bit better and focus, but he was doing it like from way too far away for that to be useful at all. And then, of course, you have to be off your goddamn gourd to take a shit on a stranger's doorstep. But what's even weirder about this is that it was a premeditated shitting. It wasn't like some kind of impulse thing where he just had the bubble guts and just couldn't hold it in anymore, the dam broke. He went to the house one night, cased the joint basically, scoping out the scenery, making sure it's like the optimal place to take a shit. Came back the following night after cooking it up, like charging his alt for 24 hours, and then released the payload. Like, he just took the dump the following night. So this was something that he had planned out from the sound of it. And looking at the footage, he was wearing the same outfit. At least if this footage is the proper timeline, where he went to the house first just looking at everything, and then came back the next night taking the shit, he's wearing the exact same clothes, so he didn't even like bathe or change in that time.
Tuesday morning, I went out to my front porch and noticed this, what I thought was a cat poop.
The homeowner, who wishes to remain anonymous but who we'll refer to as Jim, then checked his doorbell camera and realized it was no cat at all.
And it turned out to be a person. And not only did he defecate, but he also urinated on our welcome mat.
This seems personal, but the homeowner Jim has no idea who this guy is or why he would do this in the first place. And to make matters even worse, I'm pretty sure I have that exact same pair of pants that the porch pooper is wearing. So I may have been burgled by this gentleman. Maybe he broke into my house in the middle of the night, stole my pants, and left a fucking surprise somewhere that I haven't found yet. And now he's wearing my pants while shitting around the town.
What's even more disturbing is that the man returned a third time the very next night. Jim got an alert on his phone and tried to confront him, but the man was already gone.
You have no idea who this guy is or why he's doing this?
I have no idea. We're good neighbors. We, keep to ourselves. We behave ourselves. And
he was visited 3 times, like the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future. But the only gift he was given was the gift of a fucking colon cleansing on his front porch. And in all 3 instances captured on the doorbell camera, he's wearing the same clothes. This guy didn't bathe or change over the course of 3 different public shitting incidents. His hygiene stinks. This guy fucking super sucks. I imagine him going around town, he has like this cartoonish stink cloud that follows him around. He is probably unbearable to be near. Holy shit.
Jim has now filed 3 police reports for each night his home has been targeted, but so far, no arrest. Just a big mess he's now forced to clean up.
I'm relieved that he's not violent or he's not trying to force entry. He's just doing his deed. But it's very disconcerting and disturbing.
In Louisville, Ward Jollis, Wave News.
Now, I did wonder if the news broadcast had just repeated footage here when they did the side-by-side, because it looks so similar. He goes to pretty much the exact same spot, like down to the millimeter, and he spends about the exact same amount of time shitting, which I find to just be highly unlikely, unless this guy is some kind of anus specialist, the butt whisperer, and he's trained his ass to be extremely strict with how long shitting takes. Then it just seems weird that it's pretty much the exact same across all 3 instances. But it is very possible, because when to debunk myself, when he stands up in some of the shitting there, he reacts differently. So like in one of them, he looks at the door, and the other one, he doesn't and just immediately looks to the left and goes away. So it probably is separate instances. I just still find it shocking how consistent he was with it. Same position, same location, same duration, and same clothing. It's like when he's not shitting on this guy's front porch, he just enters stasis and then comes back the next night in the exact same outfit and everything. It's just so peculiar. So yeah, hopefully they catch the porch pooper sooner rather than later. I'd hate to see more homes ruined by such foul fecal matter being spread haphazardly like this in locations where it shouldn't be. So yeah, hopefully Jim no longer has to deal with this porch pooper, and I just wanted to make you all aware of this so you can take precautions. If you hear a rumbling of a tummy in the middle of the night, sprint to your front door ASAP, because you might be able to catch the porch pooper. Yeah, so that's about it. See ya. If you grew up during the 90s or the early 2000s, there's an extremely high chance that you watched some of Dan Schneider's shows. It was like impossible to avoid him. It'd be like trying to dodge raindrops during a thunderstorm. Dan Schneider during this period was the king of children's television programs. He made some of the most influential productions like Drake and Josh, The Amanda Show, iCarly. His resume is just stacked with tons of shows that I imagine meant a lot to many of you growing up. And make no mistake, you meant a lot to the creator of these shows as well. Well, not so much you, but your feet certainly did. The creator of these shows is a monstrous foot fetishist, Dan Get in the Van Schneider. He is a vile, creepy, disgusting human being, and this has been known for years. However, a new docuseries just dropped really diving into this subject matter and putting a spotlight on it in a way that hasn't previously been explored. It's called Quiet on Set. Now, if you don't know what Dan looks like, here's a nice picture of him here. He looks like he was made in the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator. And Dan Schneider has become the face of Quiet on Set. However, it actually explores more than that. It's like a whole deep look at all of the horrible things that were going on during these Nickelodeon productions. It's more than just Dan, but he obviously plays a central role here because he made these shows. He was the head honcho of most of this, and he was well aware of some of these terrible and downright criminal things that were going on behind the scenes on some of these shows. And the reason I mention the foot fetishism off rip here is because that was one of the first things that people really caught on to in the public eye. After Dan's glory days at Nickelodeon, people started to pick up on how odd it was that a lot of these children's shows had an emphasis on feet. Pretty frequently, it was a common thread throughout a lot of these shows, like feet humor and having these child actors and actresses displaying their feet. And in 2013, one of the shows Dan worked on, Sam and Cat, actually ran a competition where kids were supposed to submit pictures of their feet to them. Like, that's weird. No matter how you spin it, that's a really weird thing to request from your audience of children, to take pictures of their feet for you. That's just downright creepy and wrong. I can't believe that tweet is still up, by the way, over a decade later, and no one thought to delete that. That is impressive. But anyway, people started to pick up on Dan's fixation with stompers, and it seemed like his fetish was bleeding into his work, and he was having the children unknowingly participate in it by having them display their feet. That's what it seemed to a lot of people, so it was obviously very concerning, so people did more and more digging. They found more and more evidence of Dan being an awful piece of shit behind the scenes with a lot of shady things going on there, and it just led to this reputation that people for years have known that Dan blows loads to toes Schneider is not a good person. And now Quiet on the Set has released, and so much information has come out, not just about Dan, but about that entire Nickelodeon workplace around these child stars. Arguably the largest piece of new information that dropped during this docuseries was the sexual abuse of Drake Bell by someone named Brian Peck. So Brian Peck was a coach at Nickelodeon whom was sexually abusing Drake Bell, and he was actually convicted in 2004. He spent 16 months in the slammer, and then immediately upon release, landed a job with Disney. If that doesn't show just how rotten to the core this industry is, I don't know what will. There is deep-seated evil in Hollywood. He went to jail for lewd acts with a minor. He is a sex offender, a convicted sex offender, and he immediately got a Disney Channel job working on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. What the fuck? That's mind-bogglingly evil. Like that's not just irresponsible, that's malicious. It's not like they just made some kind of mistake where they put a sex offender in a role where he works almost exclusively with children. It's not like they made a whoopsie-daisy, they just happened to overlook that he's a sex offender. They knew. They would have to know, and they still hired him for that role regardless. That's scary. That's terrifying. They're actively enabling a fucking sex offender to potentially prey on more children. Drake also described that when he went into court, Brian Peck had the support of some very powerful and familiar faces. There were 41 character letters written to the judge asking for leniency for Brian Peck. 41 letters of support from industry personnel that were trying to get a lighter sentence for Brian Peck, even knowing that he is guilty of the crimes for which he is about to face the punishment, asking for a more generous sentence. These weren't just 41 pieces of toilet paper with nonsensical scribblings on it from nobodies. These were 41 character letters that were submitted by industry personnel, some of whom were high up on the food chain, so these things carried weight, and they're advocating for someone who is guilty of sexually abusing a child. Holy shit. They just viewed it as not a big deal, I guess. Listen, Judge, I understand Brian Peck diddled a child. Who at Nickelodeon hasn't? Are you really gonna throw him away or put him away and throw away the key for that? What about season 3 of Drake and Josh? What actually matters here? Let's think about that. Like, this is crazy to me. It almost stops being surprising learning that Brian Peck landed a job at Disney right after his 16 months in prison for this crime, because it seems like that entire industry just does not give a fuck about the safety of kids to begin with. So like I said, Quiet on Set isn't just about Dan Schneider and all of the awful things that he has done. It's about how awful that entire industry itself is. But once again, Dan Schneider does still play a large role in this docuseries, highlighting the bad workplace and environment that he would cultivate, the weird shit that would go on in like the writer's room and the way he'd treat some people, just a whole plethora of different bad stuff. And in response to all of this, Dan Schneider himself actually stepped out from the shadows, leaving his little gopher's hidey hole and addressing it head on in one of the most painfully scripted and staged apology video interviews I've ever seen.
Hey, it's Boogie. I played T-Bo on Nickelodeon's iCarly. I got a chance to watch the Quiet on Set program, and I reached out to Dan to see if it was something that he'd be willing to discuss. I'm pleased to say that he said yes. Dan, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
The interview is not conducted by a professional. It's conducted by a former actor in one of Dan Schneider's shows, and he is not equipped to handle something like this. This is the biggest load of baloney. Like, this is just some straight up fucking malarkey. There is no pushback from Boogie on anything in this interview at all. It's just strategic softballs designed to give Dan Schneider some kind of sympathetic PR win here, where he comes out of this looking better, where he comes out of this like not the bad guy. It's so deplorable that they'd even try something like this with a straight face. I think it is extremely transparent what this is, and I'm happy to say pretty much everyone saw straight through this. This did not give Dan Schneider the dunk I think he was expecting it to. This did not make him look any better in the public's eye. It actually just made it look even more sinister that he was able to, it seems, pre-prepare this interview to mitigate the potential fallout from the docuseries airing.
Let's talk about the massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation.
Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses.
It starts with what's supposed to be this moment of taking accountability. Dan Schneider's just point blank apologizing and, you know, holding himself accountable for the sins of the past type vibe. Except he's really not. Like, these aren't things that you just, like, hand wave away with, like, a simple apology. A lot of what was reported is, like, unforgivable bad shit. Like, there's really no way of apologizing for the things that Dan Schneider has done and also been accused of. So it's just, it feels so fucking insincere. And Dan Schneider got away with it, and it seems will continue to get away with it. So he loses nothing by doing something like this, which just makes it frustrating to see him parade around pretending like he cares now all of a sudden. Like, it's extremely easy for him to just be like, oh yeah, that was bad. I feel bad for that. Oh, what a regret. Yep, not good. Like, it's just, I would have liked if the interviewer was someone that would legitimately dive into a lot of these things and actually press him on a lot of these things. This interview never even addresses the things that people want to hear from Dan on, such as like the sexualization of the children in those shows. Even outside of all the foot stuff, Dan included some very inappropriate things in his programs, such as Ariana Grande milking a potato, and then another scene with her getting like splashed with water and shit. Like, all of it was very unacceptable and seems to sexualize the child actors and actresses in his productions. And that was never even brought up in this interview. So this interview just, it doesn't have any real substance to it. It is legitimately just a scripted PR play from Dan.
I cut it. I want my shows to be popular. I want everyone to like. The more people who like the shows, the happier I am.
Yeah.
So if there's anything in a show that needs to be cut because it's upsetting somebody, let's cut it.
So I think it's big for you to say with your work, if it's viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's a solution.
The last thing I want to ever do is put any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them want to turn off the TV. Why would I ever want to do that?
That makes sense.
This is him addressing a question that Boogie asked about, like, inappropriate jokes in there without getting too deep into the weeds, just a broad subject of some of these jokes have aged poorly and people look at them as inappropriate for a child audience. How do you respond? The most softball way of asking this question, mind you, and his response was, cut it. Just get rid of it. I don't want it in the show. If it's aged bad and it makes people uncomfortable or, you know, this and that, cut it. And Boogie's like patting him on the back for it, like, oh my goodness, wow. That's, So benevolent. What a great solution. Yeah, that makes sense. What the fuck? It's so easy for him to say that now, but it doesn't take away the fact that you filmed it. If you cut Ariana Grande milking a potato type shit, if you cut some of the foot stuff that you included in there, it doesn't change the fact that you still had the child actors and actresses doing that shit and were sexualizing them. It still happened. That's still bad. Cutting it from the final product doesn't erase what you did. It's so frustrating that there's no pushback on any of this in the interview. He just gets to let him say his piece and then get applause for it. It's so stupid.
And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency, and they knew that he was guilty. They knew he had confessed to some degree, and they still did this. But Drake's mom, a lovely woman who I stay in contact with this day, she came to me at the time and she said, "Would you help me with my speech for the judge?" And I said, "Of course." And I did.
Dan Schneider's fishing for the Nickelodeon's Kid Choice Award for the best fake crying. It feels super forced and super insincere. Him tearing up while talking about this story. This is him talking about the Drake and Brian Peck case, where he mentions 41 people wrote those letters and it baffled him, and then Drake's mom actually asked him to help her write her piece, which he did. And that leads me to a question of, if you knew all this, why didn't you back up Drake Bell? The way it's described, Brian Peck had all of these people in his corner, but Drake really only had his mom and his brother. Why weren't you more involved then? Like, I imagine that could have been extraordinarily helpful. But regardless, this interview doesn't do anything to change my perception of Dan Schneider, or anyone else's, really, I imagine, because it's still nothing. This isn't really an interview, it's just a PR piece, disguised as an interview. It's just more despicable garbage here. But yeah, anyway, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Again, the docuseries is called Quiet on Set. It's out now. And yeah, just kind of wanted to go over it a little bit. That's it. So yeah. Today I thought it'd be nice to give you all a free lesson in negotiating. Negotiations, when it comes to doing business, are a bit of a headache, a nuisance, and it's just this push and pull battle back and forth, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way. But what if it did? Every single time? What if every time you entered into a negotiation, you knew you would be victorious? You want to get yourself a new Stanley Cup, but don't feel like forking over 50 clams for it? Well, then it's time to employ this negotiating tactic and get yourself a 100% off discount. That shit will be free. In fact, this is so effective that they'll probably start paying you to take the items away from them. It's that powerful. I first learned this forbidden jutsu from an anonymous hero on the Facebook marketplace who really opened my eyes to it. So I want to do the same for you. And I'll just go ahead and say it now. You're welcome. So it all begins with an individual trying to sell their motorcycle on the Facebook marketplace, and then they received this message. And I don't think they were prepared for this. That motorcycle was as good as gone the second this was sent. So they reach out and they say, "Hello. I know this is a lot to ask, but would you consider letting me have the motorcycle for free?" Pause. That's how you do it right there. Immediately letting his intentions be known. There's no guesswork here. There's really no haggling either. It's like, "Excuse me, have you considered letting me have this for free? I know you're trying to sell it for money, but what about just letting me have it?" Now, I don't want to scare you away with science, but I do want to dive a bit deeper here on why this is so effective. There's a psychological explanation for this. People love to have their questions answered with another, stupider question. It makes us feel great. It's like this nice euphoric high. It's like smoking the crack pipe, but much worse. So in this instance, I know the guy selling his motorcycle had never, even for a fucking iota of a second, considered just giving away his motorcycle for free to a total stranger. But now that the idea has been planted in his head by that stranger, it's given him a lot to think about. And that changes the whole dynamic of the negotiation. Now, all the power is on the guy who's asking for it for free. You see how it works? It's very clever. We're dealing with a true genius. And he wastes no time getting very personal here to get an emotional investment from the seller, trying to tug on his heartstrings. So he's going for like this extremely powerful 1-2 combination wallop here to try and get this bike for free. So he says, it's for my elderly dad, and he lost his car due to financial issues, and he is dirt poor on a super low pension, and I don't work as I'm looking after him until I get another job, as I lost my trucking company to a fucking rotten, and then he drops a slur. If that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, then I don't know what will. You have no soul. His elderly father, he lost his car due to financial issues, and now he needs a motorcycle. As all elderly men need. Like, how is he supposed to get from point A to point B without a free motorcycle now? What do you expect him to do? Walk? It's ridiculous. He's elderly. And the individual here doesn't have a job to provide for him, so he's doing the best he can to get him some transportation, which just happens to be a fucking motorcycle. Maybe he's trying to get his dad killed. I have no idea. Maybe this is all an elaborate assassination plot. I am looking for someone with a heart that is willing to help a person in need. And then caps lock. My dad is 78 years old and is at his breaking point, and the next person who refuses to say yes and help will be held responsible if anything happens to my dad, as he is ready to let go of life. So now the stakes have never been higher. His father is 78 years old. At his breaking point, the only thing keeping him alive is the hope of a free motorcycle. Will you do it? Do you have a heart to save his life? Because if he doesn't get this motorcycle, goddammit, it's going to be the end of him. And even if he gets the motorcycle, it's going to be the end of him then too. But in a much bigger blaze of glory, I think. I imagine it's 78 years old, and in as rough a shape as this guy describes him, that motorcycle would be his vessel straight to fucking Valhalla. That would be messy. But it's what he wants. Alright? And are you going to do it or not? Are you going to follow the Lord's wishes and treat thy neighbor the way thy would like to be treated? With a free motorcycle? Because if you don't, you will be responsible for it, so keep that in mind, Buster. I think this is negotiating at its finest form. So he's pulling out all the stops here for the free motorcycle, trying to get the waterworks going with a sob story, but immediately drops a fucking slur in the middle of it, and then caps locks a threat, too. This is an unhinged maniac we're dealing with today. I usually blank out the Facebook profile pictures in these kind of messages, but this one is just so fitting because he has a clown as his profile pic, and it couldn't be more poetic, because this guy is truly a fucking loser clown. So he comes back saying, I keep asking till you answer me. The guy trying to sell the motorcycle says, no thank you, and then even gets this warning, beware of common scams using payment apps. So I'm guessing this got flagged internally or something. I don't exactly know how Facebook Marketplace works in that regard. But then he goes, so you're okay with putting money over a person's life? And he just goes, has this ever worked for you? His strategy is very clear. He's trying to like play off of people's good nature. Like, my father needs this motorcycle. He doesn't have a car right now, and he doesn't have money to pay for this motorcycle, and I don't have money to pay for the motorcycle because I'm taking care of my dad because I'm a good person. Like, come on, you're gonna really value money over someone's life? You're gonna try and sell this motorcycle for thousands of dollars as opposed to just give it to me and my dad for free, which would actually save his life? Oh my god, you're disgusting. You are despicable scum. And when it becomes clear that this guilt trip song and dance isn't working, he tries something very different. Actually, yes, in the past it worked because years ago there were good-hearted people that would give you the shirt off their back to help a person in need. A shirt is also significantly cheaper than a goddamn motorcycle, you absolute heathen. Now, all you is a bunch of cold-hearted, money-hungry bastards, and I am very disgusted by that. I have no doubt that he like spit. Gross. Won't even give me a free motorcycle. Yucky. My lawyer actually told me that if anything happens to my dad because someone told him and no, and it pushed him over the edge, I can file a lawsuit. So far, I have 20 people's names and Facebook accounts who have refused to help me. I have passed those on to my lawyer in case anything happens. Yeah, that makes sense. Doesn't have money to pay for the motorcycle, begging for it for free, yet somehow has money for a lawyer for this. That's about as believable as me being over 6 feet tall. What a bunch of fucking hooey. My dad told me if anyone else tells him no, there will be major hell to pay. This guy actually speaks like a child on Xbox Live making threats. My dad actually works for Infinity Ward, so if any of you guys kill me in this game and I don't win, you're all getting banned. This goofball has that same kind of energy to these messages here, while he's begging for a free motorcycle, trying to get some kind of sob story guilt trip going. It's fucking brutal. So let's take a bit of a dive here on his last couple of statements. So he's saying that he has a lawyer that has told him he can file a lawsuit if something happens to his dad because someone refused him free shit, basically. That's such an entertaining idea to play around with. Like, you can't tell this guy no because he's old and he might die. So be careful. So he's trying to get the legal threats out there. If Pops kicks the bucket, if he buys the farm because you didn't give him a free motorcycle, I'm taking you to court, so you better give me the free motorcycle. The guy's like sweating like, oh my god, alright, I've got to give him the free motorcycle. I really wanted to get a couple $1,000s out of this because I paid so much for it, but this guy's dad's life is on the line and I'm threatened with a legal lawsuit. Like, what did he possibly think would happen? No one's going to buy this story. Nobody in the world, no rational person in their right mind would get these messages and think anything of them beyond, wow, this person that is talking to me right now actually needs some kind of mental health evaluation, because this is unhinged. It's also super laughable how he tries to make his dad come in here at the end as like the big head honcho tough guy. My dad said if anyone tells him no, there will be major hell to pay. In what way? He's 78 fucking years old and apparently has no way of getting around and has some demented loser of a son that's trying to get free shit for him on Facebook Marketplace. What is he gonna do? What major hell is there gonna be to pay? There's nothing getting paid. You're just asking for shit for free in the most pathetic way possible. That's the worst threat ever. I have no doubt in my mind this has never worked for him. Shocker, I don't believe he's actually got 20 people's names and Facebook accounts in some kind of dossier that he's about to send to his lawyer to sue. Or if he does, the lawyer's just going to be trying to hose him for money off of this absolute cringe. Like, this is just ridiculous. You can't sue someone because they declined to give you something for free when they weren't even offering it for free to begin with. Like, you can't tell my dad no? What the fuck is that? It's so wild. It's so weird. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit. You might want to try this negotiating tactic though once or twice just to see how it goes, maybe. It might be worth trying. Why not? Let it rip. It seems like a good time, a good bunch of fun. That's really about it. So yeah. Well, I saw a real doozy of a video today, and I think it's only fair that all of you share in this pain with me. You know how in Pacific Rim they have two pilots sharing the neural load together so that way they can operate the mech because it's too much for one person to bear? That's how I feel about this video I just watched. It's about a husband who is addicted to drinking his wife's breast milk. I'm using the word addicted a bit loosey-goosey. I don't think he's, like, physically addicted. He won't go through withdrawals if he doesn't have his wife pop her titty out so he can suckle. But he is a huge enthusiast of her brand of product. And they filmed a little documentary about it, so let's take a peek at this interesting relationship.
Likes my milk just how some people like, you know, cow's milk. He just likes my personal milk.
Dude clearly just likes slurping the boob juice here, getting drunk off the honkers potion.
I originally started breastfeeding my husband Alex on a cruise years ago. I forgot my breast pump, and at the time I was currently breastfeeding my daughter Aria. I mean, there was no other way of getting the release of milk that I needed.
She gets engorged and she has extra milk, extra lactation.
I don't like to use the word hero lightly, but this man fits the very textbook definition of a hero. He suckled on his wife's bosom when she needed it most. Now, all jokes aside, I decided to look it up out of curiosity. It is apparently extremely painful for a woman who's lactating to not be able to, like, pump the milk out. So I actually did read stories about husbands who did this in order to help, but all of them only did it in, like, dire situations where their wife was in, like, physically debilitating pain from being engorged. Not, you know, for pleasure. Whereas this extends far beyond this. Like, while it may have stemmed from a desperate situation where his wife was in pain and he wanted to help, it became a fetish. No matter how much they insist it's not a fetish, I think it's very clearly something stimulating here about drinking his wife's breast milk every chance he gets.
It was actually recommended by his family member. And at the time I thought it was gross, but it ended up being the best thing He practically saved my life, I like to say.
Saved a life.
Sucking titties to save a life. That is a Marvel superhero, a champion. I'm also very curious how all of this unfolded. Like, a family member being the one to recommend this, like, you know, this was prescribed by my parents, we gotta try it. I wonder what happened. So she's in pain, they call 911, help, my wife forgot her breast pump. They think it's a prank call, they hang up. Then they decide to call their family, help, what do I do? Listen, like a snake bite where you suck the venom out, you're gonna have to suck the milk out of the titty. It's like, oh, goodness gracious. That's just crazy enough to work. I'm on it. And then it leads to all of this.
I went home, there was no more milk, my daughter was weaned off, and then when my son was born, it started up again.
So, you know, I take care of business the way that I did before.
Babe, I'm full, I hope you're thirsty.
Let's do this. The benefits that I feel like I've experienced is, I feel like I got clearer skin. I feel like it's helped my immune system. I haven't really got sick in the past
3 years.
I feel like it clears my mind, you know what I'm saying? More of like a meditation thing.
Man, what the fuck? Does she have the fountain of youth in her titties? Like a panacea to cure everything. It gave him clearer skin? Is that how we get rid of, like, acne? Oh, help, I'm having a breakout. Mom! Mom, get in here! Quick! I've got 4 extra zits! It's the only way? Like, what in the world? Immune system, I'm not qualified enough to speak on the health benefits of adult breast milk consumption for a stronger immune system. There's probably more efficient ways. And then meditation. Maybe it's very calming. I mean, sucking breasts is amazing, of course, but when milk comes out, that's usually when the party would stop and be like, oh, whoa, why? The act of a titty in your mouth is calming, but if there's any fluid that leaks out, it's really not a special surprise inside most people would be thrilled about, I don't think. So I don't know about the meditative state that it puts them in being universal for most people. But hey, you know, who really knows, huh?
Is it a fetish?
It is not a fetish. A lot of people think it's a fetish, but it doesn't lead to anything sexual. He just likes my milk.
Feel better? So right now we both are content creators.
Unsurprisingly, as content creators, they felt the need to publicize and film all of this because for some reason nothing can be private anymore. Now, I've always said I really don't care about people's personal fetishes as long as it's between 2 consenting adults in the privacy of their own bedroom behind closed doors, no one's getting hurt. Who cares? You can put a straw in your partner's butthole and suck the farts out every night. It doesn't affect me at all. Little goofy, sure, whatever, you can make jokes about it, whatever, but at the end of the day, it's not a big deal. And then here, it's very different because they are actively filming and publicizing their kink. And no matter how they try and defend it saying it's not sexual or anything, I think the husband is saying something very different with the way he acts about it. Like when his wife says that she's engorged, he starts doing this with his hands like a cartoon villain, saying it's time to get down to business. You know, he doesn't need to suck the milk out of her titties anymore. It's the 21st century. We have the technology to get that milk out. He is clearly doing it because it is gratifying for him, and the way he talks about it, he clearly fucking loves it. Like, that, to me, seems to be a fetish. And then making content around it, like, I truly just don't understand why it wouldn't be something that they'd keep private between the two of them. And the content they make around it, I think, is really fucking weird. So, like, one of the videos they show here, I can't show the clip, it says, greedy people during lunch be like, and it's a video of the husband walking up to the mother who is actively breastfeeding one of their children. The husband is recording this and then points to the breastfeeding and says, let me get the rest of that. Let me get the rest of that. I think that is such a fucking weird video to film.
And I'm a musician, so I make music. Milk float, milk float, milk float, milk float. I made a song called Milk Flow. It was just me saying, we just doing us, you know what I mean? We was just dancing around.
He made a whole song about sucking milk out of his wife's titties. That is wild. Like, they are making their entire presence around this. And I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here because a good point gets brought up by the interviewer saying, don't you think that this is going to have some kind of repercussions for your kids going forward when other people see this? Do you think they'll get, like, bullied for it? And that's a very fair thing to ask.
I do not breastfeed in front of my children. I think it's just between me and my husband, so it's something that we keep private.
Okay. Do you think that this could impact your kids in the future if they see it online?
I don't believe it would impact them in the future. If this is going to impact them on their future, I believe it will be in a very positive way. They're going to learn from it and they're going to milk the situation.
I don't know why she's trying to make it seem like this is just a private thing between the two of them. The husband made a whole fucking song about drinking your breast milk. Like, this is anything but private. They post these videos online. So even if the kids aren't actively seeing dad suck mom's milk out every night, they are eventually going to be made aware of the videos you've posted of that, which the interviewer calls attention to, saying, don't you think this could pose problems in the future? And the father just kind of brushes that off and even makes a joke out of it, saying, I know if it happens, they'll milk the situation. He's really trying to be the breast milk guy, which is such a weird fucking personality to try to adopt. I don't really know why he'd want that to be his brand image or whatever. But it's a really legitimate question and something they should be thinking about, because their kids will likely be made aware of these videos in one way or another, and they could get problems at school or something for it. Like, I could already see kids being really mean about it and bullying them, saying things like, hey, you know, is your dad gonna drink the breast milk your mom leaves out for Santa Claus this year at Christmas? Like, it could pose problems for them. And especially because the videos they film, I guess, also have the kids present in them sometimes. Like, that's going to be an issue, no doubt.
When you guys told me about the breastfeeding thing, it's just, you almost wonder, am I related to Alexander?
How did you feel when you saw us do it?
I felt disgusted.
This is the husband's sister here. And apparently, they told her about the breastfeeding thing between the two of them. Why? It's very clear that they don't want this to just be some kind of private thing they do in the bedroom. They want to share this with as many people as possible. Why? That's so fucking weird. And apparently not only did they tell her about it, they showed her. They asked her, how did you feel when you saw it? So what, did they sit his sister down and say, listen, you're gonna watch this right now. He's gonna drink breast milk out of this breast right now. Come here. Fucking latch on. It's just so peculiar. I would never sit down, my grandma be like, listen, Meemaw, eating ass tastes great. So watch this. I'm gonna bring this girl in here and eat her butt out, and you're gonna watch it, damn it. Like, it just, why not just keep things private? It doesn't make sense.
Matthew is getting weaned off the breast milk.
Breastfeeding stopping soon. The way I feel about it is, it's like a bittersweet moment.
What a tragedy. So they're going to be weaning off their youngest, but I feel like it's going to be much harder to wean off her husband from the breast milk than the actual child at this point. I can already imagine how this might have unfolded when she broke the news that it's about time we stop with the breastfeeding. He just drops to the floor on his knees. No! Just going wild on it as tears are streaming down his face. But yeah, anyway, I watched this earlier today, so I thought it was only fair you had to see it as well. That's about it. So yeah. Hooey! Do I have something special to share with you today? It's been a little while since I've just dragged something wacky into your lap and set it down like a cat bringing in a mouse from outside. It's rare that I see a video in 2023 that leaves me confused and even a bit shocked by what I just witnessed. That just happened today. I saw this video a few hours ago, and I couldn't get it out of my head because there's so many questions with so little answers.
Ok, j'étais en train de manger, ça fait 3/4 d'heure qu'il est là, devant ma voiture, et voilà qu'il se met à lécher ma voiture.
The look on this man's face conveys 1,000 different emotions, and all of them are off-putting. He looks like he's cheating on his SATs and cautiously looking around to make sure no one's looking at him to catch him in the act. He almost looks a little bit proud as well. This is clearly some kind of weird fetish from this guy, and this isn't the first car fetishist. In fact, I watched the whole documentary on a guy who loves fucking cars, so he'll like make out with cars, and a camera crew actually went out to film an entire like piece on him. And they were staying in a hotel, and one evening, he actually went and busted a nut on their SUV in the middle of the fucking night. The guy is not even like a car fetishist, he's a car rapist. It wasn't even his vehicle, so I can only imagine the heartbreak and betrayal that his car must have felt at that moment. Unless, of course, they're not monogamous. I actually don't remember all the details on that, but regardless, if that guy was cruising your neighborhood or the local Walmart parking lot, make sure you got a chastity belt on your car's muffler, because he is coming for that cussy like a man possessed. He was a fiend. I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, there are car fetishists out there, and this dude is probably one of them, I would imagine. Or this is his desperate, pitiful attempt at getting this woman's attention to try and, like, flirt with her somehow by throwing himself on top of her car and sexually licking it, tongue-fucking it, like he's trying to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. I don't know, but he's doing it right in front of not only her, but her spaghetti as well. The spaghetti that's sitting, like, right in front of her steering wheel. You know, he's got no shame, clearly.
C'est un mec, mais trop bizarre. Allez, dégage! Allez, dégage! Dégage! Allez, dégage!
I've got to tell you, I don't think this was the best decision from her given these circumstances. Blasting the windshield wiper fluid was probably the most erotic moment of that man's life. He clearly curls his toes when watching the Cars animated films, and now you've just convinced him that his cunnilingus on your car was so good that he made it squirt. Now he thinks it's a squirter. So he absolutely filled his trousers there, blew the whole load.
Allez, dégage! Mais dégage de ma voiture!
Oh, also, she was backing up while doing this, so he was actually, like, waddling along with her car while holding on to the hood and licking it. He is determined. Now, I've tried looking up information about exactly what was going on here, like what led up to this moment. Is this just a complete stranger? At first, when I watched this, I thought it was the security guard. I was like, wow, that's one hell of a way of enforcing order at the business place, I suppose, if she wasn't supposed to be parking there. Instead of, like, asking her to leave or anything, just immediately start licking the car and freak her out enough to make her want to leave. It is a bold, interesting strategy, but I couldn't really find anything like that. All I've seen is people hypothesizing what could have been the cause here, and the leading theory seems to suggest that this guy just wanted her parking spot and she wouldn't budge, so he hopped on top of her hood and started licking it as, like, a gross out kind of thing to make her want to get out of that spot. And I guess that would make sense to a certain degree, if you're a fucking psychopath. Like, I don't know who's going that far for a fucking parking spot. Like, just park somewhere else.
Non mais je suis en train de rouler, le mec il reste sur ma voiture.
Boss battle completed. She managed to get him off the hood by just accelerating, driving away. And he holds on for quite a little while there. He goes on a little adventure, really gripping onto the hood tight like it's a fucking roller coaster ride. But then eventually she slows down and he gets off and runs away, I guess. What a wild encounter, though. This is one of those weird random events in, like, an MMO almost. It feels so odd that this actually happened, and I have no fucking idea why it happened at all. And also, while she was driving away with him on the hood, it really looked like a green screen. Like, it actually just looked like him in front of a fucking green screen. It was so comical. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to share this because I've been thinking about it ever since I watched it this afternoon. So, yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah. I put some lights in these shelves over here, and they look pretty bright on camera. It looks like a flashbang went off behind me. That's what I imagine it looks like when an angel comes down from heaven. It's like a sterilization chamber in a laboratory, my god. But anyway, today I wanted to do a little check-in on our good friend, the Russian Popeye, aka Bazooka Arms, aka the Saint of Synthol, or, as I like to call him, the Petroleum Jelly Juggernaut. I'm talking about Kirill. Kirill is a man who's been in the public eye for about 2-3 years now, because he injects petroleum jelly into his biceps, and he gave himself these SpongeBob anchor arm looking things. And he's not the only one in the world to do this. It's called synthol, and what they do is they inject it into whatever muscles they want to bubble up and look like a badly drawn anime character, and it's just a bunch of oil in a syringe. They inject it and it blocks blood flow and it like inflates the muscle like a balloon. And it's extremely dangerous. A lot of people have died from it, and Cadill's no exception. In fact, 2 years ago he had to undergo life-saving surgery in order to drain his biceps because they were killing him. And I wanted to do a little check-in because I remembered reading about that, and I wanted to see where he was today. And would you believe it? He's back to using fucking synthol and petroleum jelly to pop up his muscles for the sake of TikTok clout. It just seems like TikTok likes are more addicting than heroin and worth losing your life over. Cadill is once again risking his life for the sake of his goofy fucking biceps because of the attention they garner online from people laughing at him. He has made his entire career online being laughed at. Most of you may remember Cadill from the slapping tournament from a while back where he went up against Vasily Kamatsky and got absolutely blasted and banished to the Shadow Realm. You also might recognize him from his lackluster MMA debut where he fought someone named The Old Man twice and lost both times in a pretty humiliating fashion. He's also had numerous other videos made about him and why he continues to inject. He does it because he likes it. He likes his biceps being that way. It's his entire personality. There's more jelly in this man's body than there is in a fruit gusher, and he won't stop, it seems, even after having to undergo multiple life-saving surgical procedures in order to stabilize him. He is still continuing to use to this day. In fact, he posted on TikTok just 4 hours ago. I'm gonna have to not play the original audio here because of DMCA, so just a heads up, I might just put like 2019 guy instrumental on it or something. Yeah, it's not only his biceps that have undergone enhancements, and I'm using that word really generously, but he's also begun having plastic surgery on his face, so he's been getting like facial injections that he's showing off online now. But he has fully gone back to injecting into his biceps, and they seem to be just as big, if not even a little bigger than they used to be. Honestly, that little groove that he's doing right there, that little boot scootin' boogie, it's syncing up nicely to the 2019 Guy song, so I actually think this is an improvement to the original video. But yeah, so as you can see, he's fully back in the swing of injecting his arms with synthol, petroleum jelly, whatever, for TikTok views and Instagram views, of course. His Instagram is a lot of just like making out with girls or like having a girl on top of him as he squeezes her ass or something to prove that he has sex. I don't really get it, but yeah. His arms once again look like Ed, Edd n Eddy when they put a jawbreaker in their mouth. And it's kind of sad, because he almost died from this. His life was saved, and he's just going right back to what almost killed him. One thing I've never understood about his online branding is he calls himself Bazooka Hands. Like his TikTok is Bazooka Hands. But his hands are normal sized, it's his biceps, so why not Bazooka Biceps? Or even just Bazooka Arms? Why hands? His hands are the only thing on his body that don't seem modified at the moment. So I just feel like maybe there was like a language barrier there or something, but it doesn't really work. The name doesn't match what you get. When I hear Bazooka Hands, I'm expecting like fucking lunchbox-sized bear claws, not normal boy hands plus Popeye arms, which is why people call him Russian Popeye, because it looks like Popeye after he gets his spinach. So I don't know why he settled on Bazooka Hands for his online handles. I just think that was a bit of a misstep. But I'm not his PR agent, you know. I'm not here to really, you know, nitpick it so much, but just a little confusion there. As for all of the facial modifications he's undergone, I don't exactly know when that happened because it kind of just came out of nowhere when following his Instagram. So I guess at some point he decided that the biceps weren't enough. He wants to continue to mod his whole body. And I don't know how he's doing the facial stuff, if that's under the supervision of a professional plastic surgeon or if he's, again, just taking matters into his own hands and using old trusty petroleum jelly. I hope not, because that'd be awful, like even more awful to inject petroleum jelly directly into your fucking face, but who knows? He has a history of abusing these kind of substances, and it's just honestly sad to see him get right back on the saddle and put his life in jeopardy just for the sake of more internet attention. It's a real shame. And I think this is like an actual case of a mental illness, being addicted either to the attention or to like the appearance of the big biceps. Even though they're literally killing him, he doesn't care, it seems. Which is odd because when they interviewed him when getting his life-saving surgery, it seemed like there was a level of self-awareness where he was like, yeah, it's pretty stupid to start doing this when I was 20. I really hope, you know, all the surgeries go well and this and that. And then, you know, fast forward not even 2 full years later and he's right back to doing the same thing. So it's just an unfortunate circumstance. One thing that stood out to me about his TikTok more so than in his past is it seems like he has even less mobility of his arms than he used to. Because even when he was doing slapping, even when he was doing those other videos, it still seemed like he could move his arms around. Like when he was in his fight, he could like throw punches. He even got into an arm bar in one of them, and while it looked like his bicep was about to burst like a fucking zit, it still had like mobility to it. In all of these TikToks, he has such a limited range of motion, which is obvious when you look at the size of his biceps and also knowing the history of already having surgery to save the arm in the first place and save his life. It's getting worse, it seems. And the arms also look worse this time around, like they look more unhealthy and more like dead and swollen and red. Like it just feels a lot more catastrophic this time around, because it probably is. I imagine after having his arm drained, he maybe overcompensated even more so with like additional jelly injections and like double or tripled his usual amount or something in order to get back to where he was prior to the surgeries. I'm just spitballing here and speculating, but it actually does seem like he's in a worse state now. Something I noticed in a lot of his TikToks that made me feel even worse for him is he treats himself like he's a circus freak performer, where he'll go towards the camera and like jiggle his like biceps around in order to try and make it like a shock thing, I believe, because they look like diseased. Like the biceps, they look like they're about to fall off at any moment. It looks like he's smuggling rocks under his arm. It just doesn't look normal, and I'm sure he knows that, which is why he takes it right to the camera and gets like all up in close on like all of the dead skin and all of that. I don't know, it's just really upsetting because, like I said, I remember reading when he had his arm drained and I would have assumed he'd turn his life around from there, getting a new lease on life, a second chance, but instead all he did was go back to the exact same routine and the exact same set of circumstances that landed him in a life-risking situation to begin with. So yeah, I just want to do a little checkup here. Unfortunately, not exactly a happy ending to it, but hopefully his arms will get drained again and he'll survive and finally learn his lesson. Who knows? But anyway, that's about it. See ya. I'm deep in the rabbit hole of unsuccessful and embarrassing flirting, and it's made me really appreciate that I grew up in a time where cell phone video was a fucking sci-fi concept. If you ever tried to take a video with your Motorola Razr back in the day, it came out looking like a picture of Sasquatch. So I got lucky that cell phone video wasn't really common back then, because if it was, I would have been in every cringe compilation for the next 15 fucking years. But I am super happy that now everyone records everything, because it's really pushed us into the golden age of cringe. Today I'd like to share with you a video that also reminds me a lot of me when I was younger, where I believed that I needed a shtick, you know, something that makes me unique from other people to stand out in front of women. I chose the mysterious anime character, and the guy in the video you're about to watch chose the Joker. I've already told this story before, but I'll give you a brief lore recap. In my freshman year of college, I completely reinvented myself to emulate the mysterious anime characters from shows I used to watch, because they always got the big-tittied 2D waifus, so I thought if it worked for them, it'll work for me. Women must love it. They didn't. I just became the creepiest guy at my college. I refused to communicate with anyone there. Anytime someone asked me a question, I wouldn't respond. I'd just stay silent. I even remember there was one time it was raining outside after one of my classes ended, and we were all waiting under the, overhang of our classroom for it to just at least stop raining a little bit, and people with umbrellas left. I had an umbrella, but I was still waiting with everyone, and then I thought it would be a good idea to take my shirt off and walk through the rain. So I did that. I fucking ripped my shirt off like Hulk Hogan, threw it in the trash, and just walked shirtless through the rain all the way back to my dorm. Because in my head, it was a cool idea where the girls in my class would be like, wow, this is a mysterious guy. Why'd he do that? This is amazing. This is a bad boy. I gotta get to know him. That wasn't the case. I probably just came across as a fucking weirdo. Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked already. This video is bringing out the demons. What I want to show you today is a guy who tried to pretend like he has the Joker's laugh in front of his coworker, because I guess he thought it'd be a good idea.
I've been told that my laugh is very reminiscent of the Joker.
Of the Joker, yeah. I hear it, I think, yeah.
For some reason, everyone who's ever taken a single theater class in high school has all decided that they're gonna be the next Joker, so they all practice the Joker laugh a million fucking times, and we've got some classic videos from it, such as the, "I'm the Joker, baby! Ah!" And then there's that one where that dude was painting his face and doing the laugh, and then his roommate walks in concerned, damn near called the police on him. We've got some amazing videos from it, but I don't really understand why so many dudes think it's a good idea to pretend to be the Joker to get laid. It's not really effective for flirting. You just come across like a psychopath. It's not like the Joker was slaying pussy.
Are you laughing because I am?
Yeah.
The fake laugh from her here is painful, but he's doubling down. He's cackling. I have no doubt he practiced this in the mirror moments before unleashing it in the wild here. He said, "Today's the day. I'm gonna show her my Joker laugh, and then we're getting married by the end of the week." When I think of the Joker these days, I don't even think of the actual character anymore. I just think of videos like these and those goofy Facebook Joker memes from lonely dudes who are just down on their luck because the girl they like got a new boyfriend. So they post things like, "Fuck the fucking fuckers before the fucking fuckers fuck you," which is a classic. I'm pretty sure that actually comes straight from Confucius, but they slapped it on a picture of the Joker. But it really is such a shame to see what the Joker has become online. This is the legacy of the Joker now. I still think the Joker is an extremely well-written villain, but my god, it's become like a symbol of cringe on the internet because of videos like this.
Are you still on the clock?
Yeah.
Okay, go fucking work.
I need a drink. I can't breathe.
God.
I can't fucking breathe. It's like, what the fuck? Why so serious? Oh my gosh.
This guy is now going to have to do this every time he laughs at work. He will never be able to just normally laugh again. He's always going to have to be in Joker mode because of this. Otherwise, she'll know it was all a ruse, an act. And he doesn't actually have a laugh reminiscent of the Joker. But anyway, I just wanted to share this video with all of you because I think it's another valuable lesson to learn that you don't need some unique shtick about yourself in order to stand out in front of girls. You know, I used to think you did, which is why I pretended to be a mysterious anime guy. You don't need some quirk like the Joker's laugh or anything. You can just be yourself without having to put on this kind of song and dance like, "Hey, look, I'm the fucking Joker, baby." You know, and it's probably better you don't do that. But anyway, that's about it. So yeah. Mark wants to donate a testicle for money. I'll give it a whirl. Mark seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's got some life pro tips here.
Peanut butter and jelly, $1.
How the fuck is he spending $60 a month on like 400 calories worth of food and he's still fat?
In his own apartment.
How is that possible? You're lying to me, Mark. You're sneaking cheeseburgers out the back door of McDonald's in bulk.
Hi, I'm Mark. Would you mind if I throw in some laundry with you? Just a few things, not a lot. Maybe a few things?
No.
Okay.
Welcome to Skyrim. What a great conversation.
My name is Mark. I was wondering if you'd mind if I tossed in a few articles with your laundry?
Not today, adventurer.
No. Please get a vodka and cranberry.
Yes.
Excuse me, would you mind if I threw some clothes in your ass? This guy's not a real cheapskate. A real cheapskate wouldn't get a dog because that's an extra expense. He has to get dog food.
These are the Ebola
You're lying to me,
This
Mark.
is my favorite. And waiting to do is this testicular study. What you do is you go.
Well, let's take a
in,
peek
you
at those
donate one
testicles,
of your
Mark.
Testicles. They replace it with an artificial
Plant them on
one,
the camera.
and when you check out after.
See, Dr. Goldsmith will be right with you.
All right.
Okay?
Very casual attire for a doctor's office.
So, what's monthly budget of $25 for our groceries?
Well, the household grocery budget goes towards everything that we share.
$25 for groceries and he has a 24-pack of Bud Light sitting in his fridge? Yeah, I'm sure, baby boy.
That we share. We actually
You think you can lie to me on this show? Are you kidding
sometimes
me?
he likes to eat women, and I don't want Rick to die and me be stuck with a huge funeral bill. I can get it now at half the cost.
Ah, so you're gonna kill him. And you get his life insurance money. That's pretty smart, Carissa. Now that's an extreme cheapskate speedrun. Quick money, and you lose the expense of having a husband.
Nervous?
Now we're cooking. Okay, I get you, Carissa. Finally, something that makes sense.
Deal that we can possibly get. I mean,
Cheap. These are our cheapest caskets.
so on these.
Is that really necessary, though? Can we just use, like, a bucket and we can chop them up?
This? I don't even know
Save
what
money on a
called.
casket?
How much would that reduce the?
Be cheap.
Yes.
That's also another good point. Why are they holding a funeral, like, professionally? They could just do it in their backyard.
Life into it, but looking at how they want to do it.
Then they wouldn't even need a casket. And he turns into fertilizer for the plants out back, which saves her money on fertilizing.
Burial, one funeral, one everything.
Carissa, are you even thinking?
It's between $1,800 and $2,800.
Preposterous.
It'd be cheaper if we just did.
Can't we just use cardboard?
Fewer letters like our initial.
The entire purpose.
Are they siblings? No, they're man and wife.
To save.
But I guess it's not mutually exclusive. They could be siblings. I don't know.
Removing $800 or $900 to $1,100 or $1,200.
No deal.
I was pretty shocked.
You get it down to 400 or else you're going in the ground.
Stone actually is.
I'm not paying a dime over 50.
Stone that.
They're used at the foot of a grave when you have.
Unnecessary.
Like
Can we just use a bag of sand?
But you know,
we're gonna be
That's
the
a good
cheapest we
point, Mean
can.
Priest. Honestly, they should just get cremated. It'd be far cheaper than all of this. Then it's only one urn. Little Bastard Harassing Residential Neighborhood Part 2. That sounds like a good title. See, that's finally something that sounds interesting. Great start. Is the cameraman a child molester?
Had a bag on his head. He's a bag boy.
You got him there. Take that. If only you could hear that.
And as he headed.
Why is he hanging out of the car looking like Scarecrow from Gotham? Like if Scarecrow is part of the ICP Juggalos. Is that a breathalyzer? What are you blowing? .2? Well, I'm invested now in this story. Do they finally get him? Glamour pool ugly bitch getting off work. Now she's blowing her fucking horn again. What? What the fuck is happening here? I'll leave it a like. Glamour pool piece of shit bitch getting off work. Now she's blowing her fucking horny. Damn, she's doing it the other way, the reverse. I'll leave it a like. I'm getting invested. Glamour pool bitch at it again. Jesus Christ, there's no mercy out here, no laws. I'll leave it a like. 61 possible murderers on Staley Road. What the fuck has happened? Is it that glamour pool bitch again? I'm expecting an army of murderers. Looks like this tree has a nutsack. What if he's telling the truth and just like 61 like serial killers rise from the dead in the background, like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, Hitler, all of them just terrorizing Staley Road. Whoop up on my butt boy, not gonna happen to his lifetime. Well, he did a whoop up on his butt boy. Asshole blowing his air horn third morning in a row. Sounded more like a train whistle, but I'm no expert. I'll trust your expertise. Moron that thinks he's a fire truck. Who in their right mind could possibly think they're a fire truck? Human beings don't even have wheels. This guy must be insane.
Road from hell.
Is his whole channel just enforcing the speed limit? Holy shit. And he really hates the glamour pool bitch. She must have done some real fucked up shit to him. Staley Road has its own little Batman here. My god. Not a single car goes unnoticed on Staley Road, even if you're driving the speed limit. Your school dollars at work, and every child is leaning out giving him the finger. It must be that glamour pool bitch.
Look. This is our school system.
Why does he think everyone's a child killer? The whoop-ass man of Fort Myers? Oh god.
Okay.
He's got a cigarette too. He will fuck you up. Do not anger Hulk Hogan.
Go ahead.
Hulk Hogan mixed with a little Duck Dynasty
Hey,
genes.
you're on a public road.